Okay, so we're rolling.
Okay. We're ready to go then? Okay, today is Monday, August 28th, 2006, and we're here with Harold Brown. What's your middle name, Uncle Harold?
I don't have one.
You don't have one, so Harold Brown. And we're going to hear some of his biography, some of his life history. So, Uncle Harold, tell us where you were born.
Okay, well, first I'll make the comment. The reason I don't have a middle name was that my father had blessed only about 10 kids. And when he got to me, he was so nervous that he forgot my middle name.
Tell him what your middle name was
My
going to be.
middle name was going to be the family name of his mother's side of the family, the McClellans. It was going to be Harold McClellan Brown, but it turned out to be Harold Brown.
Okay, and so where were you born and when? When was your birthday?
Well, I was born in Duncan, Arizona, which is on the border of Arizona, New Mexico. And the reason I was born there was because my folks had been run out of Mexico with all of the Mormons in the Mormon colonies because it was a revolution going on, and the Mexicans didn't want to be responsible for things happening to us, so they suggested very civilly that we get the hell out of Mexico.
And so what was the date of your birth and the year?
The date of my birth was June the 3rd, 1917.
1917. So that makes Uncle Harold 89 as we're doing this videotaping. And I'm his niece, Gwen Sedlak, for posterity's sake. Okay, so Uncle Harold, tell us the name of your parents.
My dad was Samuel James Brown, and he was the fourth generation from the first Mormon, whose name was also Samuel Brown, and he was in Joseph Smith's bodyguard.
Wow. And what about your mom? What was her name?
Her name was Scott, and her dad was a Scotchman.
What was her first name?
His name was Robert Scott, and he got in everybody's hair one way or another, and so he was one of the persons that should never have been a polygamous, and he was a polygamous long enough to have some children, and then get separated from all of his families, except with a daughter of his polygamous wife, who a time with the English language.
What was your mother's first name?
Her first name, her name was Catherine Scott,
Okay.
and then she married my father, who was married to her older sister and had 4 children by him, and she died with the birth of her 4th child, and his name was David Samuel Brown. And when his mother died, he was taken to live with Grandma Brown, and who also lived in Colonia Chupa in Chihuahua, Mexico. And Grandma Brown was Leni Rasmussen, and she was a servant in Grandpa Brown's household. And when his well, let's see, who was it that died? It was
The first wife of your.
yeah, when Grandpa Brown's wife died in childbirth with the 4th child, then she was working for them. She really wasn't a slave, but she was a little Danish girl, and she was working in that household. Well, then Grandpa Brown married her, and
You were talking about your father, that, you know, he married the first wife, and your mother was the second wife.
that's
Remember?
right, that's right.
And then how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Well, my father's first wife had 4 children, and she died with the birth of her 4th child. And then my mother went to help take care of the family, and my father was so torn up by the death of his wife that he started to go to South America on horseback.
Good grief.
He got a ways out of the colonies down the south, and repented and came back, and
Proposed to your mother.
well, he was very impressed with the wife that died. Her younger sister was my mother, and she lived to be 84 years old, and died here in Provo.
And how many sons did your mother Catherine have?
Okay, I'll have to count them.
Okay.
There was the oldest child was Melvin, and he was killed in a farm accident. He was hauling hay on a wagon, and it's the hay slipped out from under him, and he fell under the wagon and was killed. And so that was the first one of her children. And then she had another second child was named Wilbur, and he died while he was a baby. And so that's two. And then the next one was Laurel Jasper, who was the later in his life, he was the head of the Democratic Party in Salt Lake City, and he died of cancer. Let's see that.
That's three.
Jasper and Wilbur and my sister Maggie, and she had her changed her name to Margaret. She didn't like Maggie, and so then Merlin. I don't know how many I've named.
That's five now.
That's five.
Merlin was the next one, and he's still alive here in Provo. And I'm the 10th child. I was the tithing for the family, and they gave me to the church. So I spent all of my adult life serving the church in from Canada to the southern part of Argentina, which is next to the South Pole. And so I've served the church up and down North America, Central America, South America.
Okay, tell us about how long were you in Duncan, Arizona before your family moved?
4 years old when they decided to go back to Mexico, and they went, and so I grew up in Colonia Chuy Chupa. That means in our language the Valley of the Mist, and my father was a rather wealthy person, but while he was out in the United States during the Mexican Revolution, he used up all of his fortune taking care of financing all of the Browns, who were rather numerous. Not his kids, but his brothers and sisters, and half brothers and sisters.
So what were some of the favorite things that you enjoyed doing? Did you have favorite subjects in school?
Well, I was a good student all the way up to a doctorate, and I did my primary school in Colonia Chuichupa, and then when I was ready to be a freshman, my brother Earl lived out in Arizona, and they invited me to come out and live with them, and so I spent my freshman year in Chandler, Arizona, which at that time it was right close to Mesa, Arizona, that you know about. Chandler, it was just a stone's throw away from Mesa, Arizona.
So did you have any hobbies?
Well, yeah, I was a rodeo rider, and